Okay,
Okay,
we're
yeah.
recording.
Okay, it's recording.
Okay, we're here on I do believe, evening time in the UK, and I do believe you guys are in the afternoon, and we're here with Whimsical, probably a great shoegaze band that I've been listening to over the last 4 to 5 years, I do believe. So, how you doing?
Good. Quick question. Is this interview gonna be like literally what we're doing, or are you gonna edit it at all?
It's gonna probably be put on the page and all that, but I'll see if I can try and edit to it. But if it lands on your desktop and all that,
Okay. Well, we could start over again. I know my kids are gonna be coming in and out, so that's why I'm asking, because technically my wife is working and I'm supposed to be watching them, and so anyway, if that happens, I apologize. So I just wanted to get that out before we started, and all of a sudden I get kids dressed as Princess Leia coming in here in a minute.
no problem. Okay, we're here with the band Whimsical. How you doing?
Good.
Hello.
Cool. You've been reforming quite recently over the last 4 or 5 years, I do believe. You started out originally in the early 2000s.
Yes.
Kind of an unknown band at that time. Well, I guess during the same period of time, you had bands like I guess the White Stripes and the Strokes and all that coming to do their thing, while some of these bands that were just doing other things for their own inspiration.
Yeah, we had a pretty decent following locally, like within Chicago, and we played a lot. We were very active at the same time. Like Ariel was getting off the ground in that, and we just kind of, once the whole shoegaze movement in general started to fizzle out, we also unfortunately lost a little bit of the momentum, but happy to pick it back up now. So
Okay. Well,
yeah, the scene's a lot better now than when it was in our original from 99 to right when 2005 started. Although Chicago always treated us pretty well, it was just different. Mostly because the internet and everything now, it just seems like there's been a lot of resurgence, whereas before they were still kind of looked at like, why are you guys doing this again?
Yeah.
It was a has-been kind of thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think I was going to mention a band from the UK, My Vitriol. They're doing the same kind of stuff actually, and there are quite a few bands in the UK at that time, like My Vitriol, especially. They were signed to the same label as Ash and a few other bands in that time period. They were doing like a lot of that shoegaze stuff themselves, and I think they were definitely one of the first bands that were coined as new gaze as a joke. So
Right.
that's how that got started, I think, in the UK.
I always wondered where that term came from.
Yeah, I have no idea. I didn't hear it until that term, at least until, I don't know, maybe 2013 or so, when I started kind of getting back into finding newer bands, and then I started seeing that. But yeah, it wasn't anything we heard back in when we were originally around, for sure.
Okay. This is going to be a question. This is probably one of the best questions I ever asked. What are the band's influences from music, from bands to anything really? Anything that inspires you?
You want to go first, Neil?
Oh, I don't care. Musically, I feel like I always answer this question, so my answers are always going to be the same. Musically, it was Robert Smith, The Cure, and then obviously Slow Dive, Ride, Lush, My Bloody Valentine, all that stuff. But really, I don't know if you can really hear that in our songs or whatnot, but because we were trying to be more of an upbeat type thing, and obviously I didn't have the gear to recreate Slow Dive or My Bloody Valentine at that time. I had no clue before really the internet how they were doing that stuff, so I was just using basic effects and everything. But Whimsical was really trying to be a more cleaner and concise version of a previous band of mine, and it was supposed to be more of a pop version. Honestly, I never even heard dream pop, the term dream pop at that time. It was all just shoegaze to me. So besides Robert Smith, there was a band from Chicago called Motorhome that was a huge influence on me. And then like Siamese Dream, Smashing Pumpkins era type thing.
Way to represent.
Hey, hey. But it was just more about being a basic verse chorus type band, as opposed to this big huge soundscape, which is we've kind of gone more into that type of sound. But if you listen to the first album of ours, it's very simple songs, and that's really it.
And for me, I would say vocally inspiration. I always have been very inspired. Of course, Liz Fraser, Rachel Goswell, Harriet Wheeler, Lisa Gerrard. I would say those are probably my 4 like greatest inspirations vocally, but definitely never anything I've tried to emulate. I always just not exactly sure how I just started singing. So I guess it just happened, naturally for me. But I think just any type of dreamy music in general has always been my favorite, and certainly very inspirational.
Totally. I was going to say one of the tracks, the early Whimsical tracks, kind of remind me of Medicine, I do believe. Have a bit of that Medicine kind of kick to it, I possibly think. Especially when I got into that, I was just. They also, I kind of always listen to, when I listen to Whimsical, they kind of has a sort of a grunge feel to it, I think, because on the Seattle sound, I think it has that Seattle sound coming from, as well as the shoegaze movement as well. Kind of a mix and match, really. Has this. It sounds very unique. That's what I like about it.
Yeah, I do think that's something people have always said about our songs. It's just very unique sound. We get often like a 90s reference, so I think the whole grunge and shoegaze thing is very appropriate. I don't think we ever had like necessary intentions to sound a certain way, but I think that's what's cool too. Like we draw from so many different pools of influence that it ends up sounding very unique. Neil?
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, we're American, so we grew up with that sort of thing. And the one thing about Whimsical was it was never really supposed to be a pure shoegaze or dream pop thing. Like I was just as influenced by early Jane's Addiction as I was by Slow Dive at that point. So for me, I was still trying to write indie pop with a dreamy feel. I wasn't trying to be like My Bloody Valentine. Like I said, I didn't know how to do that. So for me, it was more about just writing catchy songs with a dreamy feel. And there's also, if people really listen, they'll hear like, I know this is going to sound weird, but if you know who the band Dag Nasty is, who formed out with one member from Minor Threat, but it's like a skate pop punk from the early mid 80s, but there's a lot of open strings and a lot of melody. And if you really listen to the first Whimsical album to like Can I Say era Dag Nasty, there's a lot of similarities. And I mean, whether or not anybody's going to pay attention to that, but for me, that's what I was doing. Like I was also, and Chrissy knows this, I was also very influenced by like early U2, like the song I Will Follow, which we actually tried to cover back in 1999, actually 1998, and it never really happened. But I mean, there's a dreaminess to that playing that was really important to me. Or like She Sells Sanctuary by The Cult. No one's going to say that's shoegaze, but that's still part of the Whimsical sound. You know what I mean? Like it was never supposed to be purely shoegaze. Yeah.
Brilliant. This is going to be another question. How did you get in contact with Saint Marie? Or did they approach you guys? What's the story behind Whimsical in Saint Marie Records?
Well, how I even discovered the label was when the first Sea Surfer album came out, and I don't even remember how must have been online or something, but the first album had just come out, and that was kind of when I was kind of jumping back into shoegaze or whatever, and I checked them out, and it was on this label I'd never heard of before, and I started kind of discovering some of the releases on there. But then when Chrissy and I found the lost second album, Sleep to Dream, and said we were going to finish it, once I started hearing it come together, it was like, wow, this actually sounds better than I thought it did. Maybe we should try contacting some labels to see if anybody would be interested in releasing it. And at that point, I had kind of made a list of all the newer labels that were around at that time. Um, and so Saint Marie was one of them. And we sent it out to all of them. And really, I don't think we heard back from a single label that I sent CDs out to. But with Saint Marie Records, right before, he didn't have an address listed, so I emailed Wyatt and said, hey, I'd like to send you a CD. You know, is there an address I can send it to? And he basically said, well, do you think you're good enough to be signed? And I said, well, yeah. And he said, well, send me 3 MP3s just through this email, which I did. And he came right back and said, yeah, let's talk. And that was it. It was that simple. I did, like, the one label I didn't even send a CD to wants to sign us, and all the rest that I send CDs to, I never hear back from.
That's pretty cool. So this is going to be related to the next question. How many labels did you try to get in contact with during this period of time before you got signed to Saint Marie? Did you guys ever
I couldn't tell you, but I mean, it was probably a good 10 to 12, I'd say. I mean, there's only so many, you know, obviously I wasn't trying to go for 480 or whatever, because I had to be kind of realistic. I mean, we weren't even a band back together at that point. It was literally, that album was lost for 11 years, and I found the hard drive with it, and it's like, okay, well, let's finish this. And it was only after Saint Marie agreed to put it out, they said, well, would you guys want to actually get back together and work on music in the future? And that was when Chrissy and I decided, well, yeah, I guess we can do that. So
yeah, I remember thinking, like, I was just shocked that any label was expressing interest, because we at that point had no idea that it would ever be a possibility to play live again. You know, the things that typical labels want when they sign a band, we did not have going for us at that time. So I just remember being so shocked that they even expressed interest, and grateful to Neil for believing in it enough to just kind of put it out there, because I would have never thought it would have gotten picked up.
I mean, the reality is, all 5 of us that played on the Sleep to Dream album, all 5 of us live in 5 different states in our country. So, but we're all still friends. I still talk to all of them all the time. I mean, I've known 4 of the 5 guys, or 3 of the other guys, since middle school or high school. And then Mark, the other guitarist, I've known since we went to college together. So I've known them all 22 to 30 years. So, I mean, it was never a personality thing. It was just, how are we going to make this work living far apart? And it was basically been Chrissy and I doing all the music and stuff going forward. But yeah, I mean, you got to give Wyatt credit for believing in us and giving us the motivation to go forward. Because no other label, you know, wrote us back or contacted us. And also, he was always wanting, he never cared if you were touring or not. In fact, he said touring bands of his, it didn't even help sales at all in his mind. So it was like, okay, great, we're your guys.
Brilliant.
So that's the story.
Okay. So this is probably going to be another question. What are your favorite bands in the shoegaze scene in general, or the label itself? What are your favorite bands today? You know, instead of the influences. You know, say which bands you like from today? You know, anything today's music from that scene. That makes sense.
I man, I'm so obsessed with new music and finding new music. So this is going to be a hard one off the top of my head, but I mean, for sure, I think anyone that knows me overall, for sure, Slowdive is and always will be my favorite band. Definitely the gateway band into this genre of music for me. But of course, Ariel, I love like a more modern stuff. Life on Venus has very, very quickly climbed to the top for me. It's just representing everything I love about shoegaze and dream pop music. It's definitely one of my favorites. But I personally, I know Neil listens to a little bit more like of the classic shoegaze if he's in the mood to listen to shoegaze usually. And I am one that I feel like I can't keep up with all of the incredible music that's out there right now.
I know that feeling myself, you know, I'm trying to keep up as much as I can, you know, just trying, because mostly I've been kind of into bands such as Sci-Flyer and Ariel, you know, I'm kind of listening to those two all the time. It's like, this, like I can never like move on to the next one. But there are some things that are so good. There's some things aren't, like sometimes I find some of it isn't that as great, and then others I just feel like this I can easily get into. I think it goes both ways in my opinion.
Yeah, something I've always said in terms of new music, when I really get into a band and get very passionate about their music, it's usually bands that are doing something innovative and new and unique with their sound. Certainly it requires talent in order to, you know, recreate one of the classic band sounds. So a band who sets out to sound like My Bloody Valentine, I don't want to discredit their talent at all. But to me, that really does nothing for me. I love when a band takes influence or draws inspiration from a band that they love and still has those signature shoegaze or dream pop sounds, but then goes on to do something very unique and innovative with it and makes it their own sound. And I feel like there's a lot of bands doing that, even like making these hybrid type sounds between like post-punk and shoegaze and dream pop, all kind of, you know, blending that together. So I could list probably 100 bands, honestly, and I won't do that. But
I'm probably going to keep it up to basic for me personally. I like probably another few favorites of mine. 93 Million Miles from the Sun. Yes, Presents for Sally on your label, and Spotlight Kid are definitely probably those top 5 bands that I really truly love. And new modern shoegaze sound as well as. Well, I got plenty. I can't really go on for that, but there is a lot that I saw over the past few years with a lot of the incredibility, and there's a lot of newer ones that are kind of just doing their own material from a mixture of like psychedelic rock, heavy psych, heavy shoegaze, and that's kind of a win-win in my boat and my books.
Yeah, well, you have amazing taste in music. What you've always played on your radio show. So to me, that's even more of a compliment that you like what we're doing so much, because I know you have excellent, very trustworthy taste. So
see what I gotta do. So
Neil, how about you?
Recently you've been working with I do believe Andy Joshi as well, like in recent years as well, with Churchill Garden and a few other projects with, I do believe, Beatastic and correct me if I'm wrong, Fire Con Children and all that. No, you've been kind of making some side projects with those kind of solo projects. How's that compared with, like, say for example, Churchill Garden and Whimsical? What are the difference between those two?
Well, at this point, so obviously Whimsical and Churchill Garden, I would say those are like the 2 bands that I am in regularly making music with. And now Neil is also doing Love Blind. So like he's got Whimsical, Love Blind, and I have Churchill Garden and Whimsical. But like Fur Cone Children, when I've done stuff with Beatastic, or any of the other, like Sea Surfer, I did a song with them, but those are more just like a one-time collaboration. Or with Fur Cone Children, he has me sing vocals on his albums. I think we've done 3 so far together that are just, he's already written the vocals and I'm just coming in and doing like backing vocals, which I love his music. But as far as original material or anything that I do where I'm writing original vocals, it's just at this point pretty exclusive to Whimsical and Churchill Garden. And then if anything else that I do is usually just, you know, like a collaboration, appreciation for each other's talents. And then Neil, I don't know if you want to speak on what you're doing elsewhere with Whimsical and Love Blind.
Yeah, I mean, it's Whimsical is always the main thing for me, but I also do Love Blind, and I still do side things as well. I mean, um, one-off songs here or there, or whatever, just for fun, where I try it. I'll pick a genre and try to kind of see if I can do it or whatever. But yeah, Love Blind and Whimsical are, Whimsical is my, I don't want to say life or whatever, but it's my baby or whatever, our baby, and it's what I put most of my time into. And like when I think about making music or whatever, I'm thinking about Whimsical. So the other stuff is just if the opportunity's there or whatever, and I have time and my kids are killing me, driving me insane, then I do it. But yeah, that's it.
Okay, probably this is going to be another question. How are you coping with lockdown at the moment? That's the next question. How's lockdown doing for you lot? Since we're in this mess at the moment, how are you coping during lockdown? Are you doing okay or?
Well, I'm in Florida, and if you pay any attention, Florida is like the hotbed of the virus right now. Other than pretty much going grocery shopping, I haven't really left my house since early March. So I've been stuck in my house with my two kids every day, all day long. And so it's, I mean, I'm kind of used to it now. But we're doing okay. I didn't leave my house much before that anyway because of the kids. So it's really not much different. I just feel bad for them because they don't understand why they can't go outside or go to the park or go to Disney or whatever. The thing is, they don't understand what the virus is still. They think I'm just pulling their leg or making up stuff. But I'm okay. I mean, I've worked on a bunch of music and yeah, read a lot of books.
That's brilliant. I like that. I do tend to go out, just go for a little walk. To be honest, on my own, that's what I would have. That's what I tend to do myself. Just go for a little, and get some exercise. Sometimes that's probably the only way to make myself
Okay.
feel
Been a
like,
saving grace for me, just every day getting outside for sure. Walking.
yeah.
Neil's had a much easier time in terms of music. He's been very, very productive, actually written an entire new Whimsical EP of songs. And I am having a much harder time emotionally with everything and getting to a point where I'm feeling inspired, breaking through writer's block. So working on that now. I'm actually finishing up a song, a vocals recording for one of the songs from the EP, but that's been challenging for me, definitely.
Yeah, I think lockdown is it was a challenging thing. To be honest, I didn't know what to do during lockdown, and I couldn't do a live show at the time, and I decided to order a little mixer, and I guess using my computer to start working on some home recorded shows. I didn't think that was going to work for me, but I think once I started to get used to it, I'm kind of just building up as much as I can, like take 1 week at a time to send a show in for me personally, because I wanted to still get the music out there. And the only way to do it was to do it on my laptop. And,
Yeah.
and I think it's going all right. Definitely quite a few people loving the home recorded shows at the moment, which I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing you have to, we're all frustrated. Obviously, we're not able to do a lot of things we want to do or whatever, but if you get too crazy about it and too upset, I mean, this thing isn't ending anytime soon, so you're just going to make yourself upset for no reason. So you just got to do what you got to do,
Yeah, no, I was just going to probably ask this next related question, probably the last one. I mean, if lockdown was over sometime like soon, well, I'm not saying it is, but what would you do? What is the band going to do after lockdown would be over? Are you going to like tour again, or are you going to release a lot of material? What's the plan for Whimsical?
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, we were supposed to play a show this fall that I don't believe is going to be happening anymore. So it's a bummer. I don't, of course, in a perfect world, if everything were to lift and be over and miraculously this was behind us, then for sure one of the first things we would want to do is play live music. We were really hoping to be able to get some shows in off of the release of Bright Smiles and Broken Hearts. So a little heartbreaking that that's not happening, but as far as outside of like our band, one of the things I really want to be able to do if I go out, it's only ever really to go see live music. So I just hope in general there's a return to that where bands are able to play again and we can go see live music. And then for sure, I hope that I can continue breaking through this writer's block stuff and we can move forward because I'm very excited about the songs Neil's written are incredible. And I'm excited for people to hear what we have next. So, you know, we don't have any intention to stop working on music. I'm more frustrated with myself right now than anything because I'm kind of the holdup at this point. I just got to break through what I've got going on here. So, yeah.
It can be really, I think it can be very frustrating on a lot of us, you know, creativity. A lot of the promoters like myself kind of put on a lot of good gigs. And to be honest, I'm a little bit down, like not doing that at the moment. And once, say for example, if that gets lifted up sometime the next, I don't know, next year or something, I'll be able to get back on my feet to do what I love doing, where I left off from last year.
Yeah.
What I would do personally, and probably try and still DJ if I can, you know, try and DJ some shoegaze gigs here and there. So that'll be probably one of the things that I'll kind of left off and continue that. So anyway, is there anything that you would like to add before we end the interview? Anything good? Anything at all? You know?
I mean, we're working on music. I have like 5 songs recorded. I have probably another 6 or 7 going in the middle of recording. Still doing some other stuff on the side. I mean, we'll get it out there at some point. We're also conscious that we don't want to just keep beating people over the head with here's more whimsical stuff. You know, we want people to actually want to like have it or, you know, released and hear it. So we're working on stuff. It's kind of a little bit of a continuation of the Bright Smiles sound, but maybe a little bit more concise. I don't know. You know, we're doing this for fun and for us and just trying to be creative and hopefully people enjoy it when it comes out.
Yeah, super grateful for all the support that has been shown. I even just doing this last album as a self-release, we didn't know what to expect. And I personally have been very, it's been heartwarming for me to see the amount of support that came around it. And I think that there's still people, Neil told me someone, you know, ordered a vinyl the other day. So it's just neat. It's still circulating, making its way out into the world. And we just appreciate that people appreciate what we're doing.
Okay. Anyway, I just want to say thank you for your own time. And I want to say it's lovely to meet both of you, and I like to say good luck with so much. So have a good night.
You.
And
thanks, Matt.
Thank you for always being so supportive. You've been there since day one, so we appreciate you.
Not a problem. Thank you. Thank you for playing good music. So have a good one and talk soon.
Okay.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.